Hey everyone, welcome to Advocacy Answered. My name is Mike Kondratik, and today we're going to be talking about measurement. And for most organizations that I've observed, it's not that they measure the wrong things, but I think in a lot of cases they just tend not to measure all of the right things. And so to expand on this idea, I think it helps to start with an advocacy or an organizing framework. And I'm going to start with recruit, educate, mobilize. Now, for those of you who have seen previous Advocacy Answered episodes, you know this isn't my preferred organizing model, but I think it's a good place to start the metrics conversation. Regardless of which approach you use, every program has to recruit. Everyone has to continuously build their database. And most organizations have the same set of tactics available to them. So maybe you're using paid social media ads, you're on a paid petition site. If you have a little bit more budget, maybe you're doing some paid display ads. Maybe you're creating content for your existing advocates to recruit via word of mouth, right? But whichever channel you choose, there's a cost to it. And you divide that cost by the number of new advocates that are generated, and you come out to a cost of acquisition, right? So that's the important starting point for advocate recruitment. And over time, you're going to want to add statistics like retention rates, right? You want to be recruiting through channels where advocates tend to stay in your database. And also cost of action, right? So you're going to want to measure the cost to acquire advocates against their response to your calls to action, right? Specifically to your calls to communicate with legislators. And over time, you're going to want to invest more of your recruitment budget in the channels that yield the lowest overall cost of action, right? Because ultimately we want advocates that are more active and engaged, right? So this set of recruitment statistics makes sense. It's in the next part of the advocacy and organizing model where my attitude and opinions tend to differ, right? So it's what happens when someone hits the database or a social media following that I think needs to be updated. Okay, so when we look at education and mobilization, the metrics tend to be focused on things like open rates, click-through rates, response rates, right? Those are typically focused on our email and text channels, right? So are people engaging with the content we send them? On social media, we're typically looking at post engagement. And then on the legislator side, typically we're looking really clinically at volume numbers, right? How many communications am I getting in to targeted legislators, and through which channels are those communications coming? Okay. Now, again, it's important that organizations know these metrics, right? So, of course, they need to be tracked, right? They're in large part how we determine if we're producing quality content, right? All of those statistics help us determine, hey, are we tuning our subject lines correctly? Are we sending our communications at the best time for our audience, right? All those things are important. But ultimately, I do think that these statistics are means rather than ends, right? And that's kind of the segue into the organizing model that I think is more effective, right? And that organizing model, after you recruit someone into your database or social media following, is focused on relationships, right? We want to build relationships with advocates. Those relationships earn trust and attention. And once we have their trust and attention, we've earned the opportunity to be influential, right? So in other words, we've earned the opportunity to make a big ask of that advocate to engage in a more time-consuming activity like a face-to-face meeting that actually has an opportunity to change a legislator's opinion, right? Ultimately, that's what we are advocacy practitioners for, right? Is that opportunity to change minds, right? And the statistics that I just mentioned, the open rates, the click-through rates, the response rates, they're good at measuring an advocate's activity, but they don't necessarily tell the whole story about an organization's progress in building a relationship with that advocate. And there are even fewer metrics that chronicle the advocate's progress in building relationships with legislators. And it's these relationship-focused metrics that I think need to be added in to the mix when organizations are determining the effectiveness of their advocacy programs, right? And it's these relationship-focused statistics that I'm going to talk more about in the next Advocacy Answered episode. Okay, but in the meantime, let me know what you think about this first part of our metrics conversation. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Advocacy Answer, no ED on that Twitter handle. You can also send me an email, advocacyanswered@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much for your time and your attention.